Welcome, everyone, to Stories Round the Table with Hudson and Joni. We're here to bring you tales as sweet as a glass of sweet tea on a hot summer day. From the rolling hills of Tennessee to the dusty trails of Texas, we've got stories that'll make you tap your boots and clap your hands. On our podcast, we interview amazing country songwriters and singers, sharing stories of love lost and found, of cowboys and outlaws, and of the simple joys of country living. So grab a seat, pour yourself a drink, and get ready to be transported to a world where the stars shine bright and the music never stops. Whether you're a city slicker or a country bumpkin, there's something here for everyone. So sit back, relax, and join us on a journey through the heart of America. Welcome to Stories Round the Table with Hudson and Joni.
Today, we're honored to have a true Texas music icon, Monte Warden, join us.
Promise of love, Black Widow. Like a widow, she patiently waits in the shadows for your fatal mistake. She'll make you believe she's all that you need.
Monte's journey in the music industry is a testament to his enduring talent, relentless work ethic, and unwavering passion for music. From his early days fronting the rockabilly band Whoa, Trigger, to his groundbreaking work with the Wagoneers and his solo career, he has consistently pushed the boundaries of country music. The Wagoneers, a band that Chet Flippo famously dubbed the greatest honky-tonk band that ever was, emerged from the vibrant Austin music scene in the 1980s. With their raw energy, innovative sound, and rebellious spirit, they helped shape the alternative country movement. Their debut album, Stout and High, is considered a landmark in American music history. As a songwriter, Monte has penned numerous hits for artists like George Strait and Josh Turner. His own music, a blend of country, rock, and soul, has captivated audiences worldwide. His self-titled debut album, hailed by NME as one of the 100 best U.S. albums of the 20th century, is a testament to his artistry.
Go on, play the ponies, sink your slots. Me and my baby just hit the jackpot. When risk outweighs reward.
In recent years, Monte has been captivating audiences with his band, Monte Warden and the Dangerous Few. Their monthly residency at the Parker Jazz Club in Austin has become a beloved tradition, drawing in crowds with their unique blend of classic and contemporary sounds. Join us as we delve into Monte's extraordinary career, from his early days in Texas to his global impact. We'll discuss his time with the Wagoneers, his songwriting process, his experiences as a performer, and his vision for the future. Get ready to be inspired by the talent, charisma, and storytelling of Monte Warden.
Well, there's the star of the show, Monte Warden.
Hey, how are y'all?
Doing well in yourself.
Sitting on top of the world. I'm so glad this finally worked out.
Oh man, it's been kind of a struggle, hasn't it?
It's just like, well, not in regards to like real struggles, but showbiz struggles, I guess.
Well, I would say it's internet.
Very hard together. Amen. Thanks, Johnny.
Well, hey Warden, we want to thank you so much for taking out your personal time in your day to appear on Stories Around the Table.
Oh, I'm grateful and flattered and all that good stuff.
All right.
Well, let's hear some stories. I'm excited to hear. I know you've got a lot of wonderful things going on. In fact, our publicist friend for all of us, Vernell, told me that you just blew him away on the Opry and are going to be invited to come back there again and do some kind of Elvis-y-like kind of stuff. Is that correct? Tell us about that.
Well, what we did in August was on the anniversary of Elvis' passing, and so I did a couple of Elvis songs then, but we went over so well, and they were, sweet enough to ask if we'd like to come back sometime, and my gosh, it's the Opry, so we were thrilled to.
You didn't have to think about that too long, I don't imagine.
No, not too long.
No, there's nothing like standing in that circle while the Grand Ole Opry is.
Oh, it's I've been blessed to do it a few times, and every time it's just as special as it was the first time. It is a stage unlike any other, and
Oh, it is kind of the ultimate, and there's no feeling like it. When people ask you to describe it, they really you just. I remember the first time I did it, I almost lost my place in the song because I got so caught up in the fact that I was standing in the circle.
oh, it is a certainly a as humbling an honor as it gets, I think, in anywhere in show business, but certainly in anywhere in country music for sure.
Well, that's congratulations on that. And then who in the world would everybody like to have record one of their songs? And you, my friend, have had Mr. George Strait, record at least one song that you wrote. Is that correct?
Right. He cut my song desperately, and it wound up being a single form and a huge hit. And, it's been on four different million selling packages of George's, and it just it changed my life. As a songwriter, when you're blessed to have a hit by somebody like George, it gives you a seat at the grown ups table. Unlike anything else.
Yeah, I had him hold a song of mine for a while and never ended up making the album. But just even that was such. I don't know about you, but it's like that was one of the more than any award or anything like that, to have somebody like that say, I like what you're doing. I think I'm going to record it, or I'm interested in recording it. I mean, it doesn't get any better.
No, amen. Well, and like what the thing about Straight is, I think he's just one of the genre bending, genre encompassing greatest interpreters of song. I mean, I put him with Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley and Ella Fitzgerald. He's just one of those incredible singers and interpreters of songs that if he takes a song of yours, it's going to wind up sounding, better than it would have in any other setting with any other artist. He's really just his voice is one that has managed to connect with hundreds of millions of people over the decades in a way that few recorded voices ever have. And it is such an honor to have written a big old hit for him.
So what's it like for you writing the song, hoping and anticipating someone like him would actually pick it up? And then he does. What's it like for you to actually sit back in your house and listen to that song that you wrote, but it's George Strait singing it?
Well, it's pretty damn good. For me, it's like, because I grew up in Austin. I'm from here, and so we remember when George broke in the late '70s, early '80s, and so when his first single "Unwound" came out in '81, that was there was a whole lot going on in country, like Urban Cowboy and a bunch of that country politan crap that wasn't country. It sold a lot of records, but in regards to just being a traditional country fan, there wasn't a lot of honky-tonk music going on. And then this guy came out of San Marcos, which is just 30 miles from Austin, and he was doing real country music and music you wanted to dance to. And so I fell in love with his records immediately. I was, I reckon, 14, I guess, when the first record came out, 13. And when I was 15, I sneaked into a show here in town. It was his last club date.
Oh, you didn't even tell me.
Well, no, I was too young. They wouldn't let me in, so I was underage. But the club manager was had put a couple of my early bands on a couple of shows, so he sneaked me in the back, and I was real easy to pick out. It was about the place held 1,000 people, and there was 999 women and me. It's how I was easy to spot. But I just love those records so much. And then fast forward, whatever it was, 30 years, and hear George sing a song of mine. It was a feeling I'll never forget. It was humbling. It was just this culmination of just so many crazy, huge dreams that hardly anybody ever sees come true in a way that it's just so rare in life where the reality exceeds the dream. And when Desperately was a hit, it was one of those instances.
Now, had you already recorded that song, Monty, on album of yours, or did somebody pitch it to George, or how did he hear it?
Well, that's a great question, Joni. I wrote it with my pal Bruce Robinson, and Bruce had recorded it on a little old label called Lucky Dog. And I had never recorded the song till this year, actually, on my Dangerous Few project. But my wife, Brandy, who, when she and I met, I was writing for Warner Chappell in Nashville, and she was working for Decca, which was an offshoot of MCA. And so when she came down here, she started her publishing company. And so she'd been a publisher for just a few months then. And we were all out with supper with Bruce and his then wife, Kelly Willis, and that we were all out at supper. And Brandy said, how many times has Desperately been pitched to Strait? I think it's perfect for him. And Bruce and I, we didn't think about somebody like George Strait cutting our songs. And he was too big a deal, And so Bruce said, well, I have a stupider answer, none. And so Brandy, still having those contacts in the MCA world, she sent the song up to Tony Brown, who was producing George. And we knew through Brandy's contacts and Brandy's third generation music business, her grandparents wrote hits, her daddy wrote hits, her uncles, all this. She had a lot of good contacts. So we knew at the very least Tony would hear it. Now, whether or not Tony dug it or would play it for George is a whole different ball of wax, but we knew Tony would at least hear it. And so she sent it up to Tony. And, this was, and we knew George was already cut. So they'd already decided on the songs, like a last minute deal. But you send the song up. And, back then we FedExed a CD. We weren't emailing MP3s yet. And so we sent the CD up there, and sure enough, they called like the next day, and they said, hey, we love this song for George. We want to put it on hold. He's in the studio right now. And so that whole weekend, we got to dream about that we're having a George Strait hold, just like you've had, Joni. You just go, oh my gosh, what would it sound like, and how are they gonna do it, and all this. And so anyway, that next week, I think it was that next Tuesday, like we had that whole weekend, and then Tuesday morning, like at 11 o'clock, we saw on the caller ID 615 come up. It was MCA University, and Brandy said, you take the phone. And immediately we were so crestfallen because it was so quickly after we sent it, we thought we'd lost the hold, and they were gracious enough to tell us. And Brandy said, you take the call. So I took his call. I'm like, uh-huh. And Brandy had just come out of the shower. She had a towel up on her head. She was over by the kitchen sink in a row. And she said, what'd they say? And I said, George cut Desperately this morning. And Brandy immediately bent over and threw up in the sink. So, God, that's how cool and collected she was. But and also the thing about George, is so many of us in the industry knows, he doesn't ever overcut, and up until that time, he'd always put 10 songs on a record, and we had heard that he had cut 12 songs. So we're like, that didn't mean we'd made the record. So we were just like, well, maybe we'll make it. We won't know. And then we found out just within a few weeks that he was actually putting all 12 songs on that record. Honky Tonk Bill was the album. And then we had a George Strait cut, and we didn't know for almost a year, because it was the last single off the record. We didn't know that we had a single for quite a while, but just to be on a George Strait record, and back then they, shipped gold, and it was platinum within a few weeks, and just a life-changing thing, particularly for somebody like me coming up with the Wagoneers and the kind of being considered, from Texas and alt country or Americana or whatever it was back then. They didn't even call it Americana, just two rock for country, two country for rock and roll, And then to have an artist that is just so heavily entrenched in traditional country music as George cut one of my songs, it just changed the narrative of who I was as a writer as far as Nashville was concerned.
Hey there, country music fans. Love the show? We're thrilled to announce the launch of our brand new website, Stories Round the Table with HudsonandJoni.com. That's right, Stories Round the Table with HudsonandJoni.com. There, you'll find everything you need to stay connected with the country music world. Browse past episodes featuring your favorite country artists, get a sneak peek at upcoming shows, and even learn more about Hudson James and Joni Harms, the dedicated country music enthusiasts behind the mic. But wait, there's more. Now you can show your love for country music with our brand new merch. From comfy tees to stylish mugs, we've got something for every country music lover. Head over to the website to check out the collection and rep your favorite artists and the genre you love. Stories Round the Table, your go-to for all things country music. Visit Stories Round the Table with HudsonandJoni.com today.
Absolutely. Boy, my hands just went clammy hearing the story.
Yeah, and for some reason, every time I hear George Strait, I think of his movie Pure Country.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't realize, that really is how the business works. That movie was really real. He needed to escape. He needed to get away from all of the crap. And
Well,
sometimes they do need that.
well, I know that from my just from the behind the scenes of that, I had remembered talking to Tom Chaney there in the late Herb Woolsey's office, and they were wanting to when George was going to do a movie, they thought he'd probably just do one, and they wanted it to be what Herb was saying was amongst one of the best of the Elvis movies, the things that worked, like King Creole or Jailhouse Rock or Loving You, some of those early Presley movies, and Herb being such a genius, he brought in Colonel Tom Parker as a technical advisor on how did y'all do that, what worked and what didn't, and Colonel Tom was uniquely qualified to speak on what worked in an Elvis movie and what didn't work in an Elvis movie. So I think the thing about Pure Country, it's so cool, is it shows everything that's great about George Strait as a performer, and certainly captures his charisma and how much the camera just loves it. And it also, it's a good popcorn movie. It it's going to wind up having a happy ending, just like a Presley movie, and yet you're captivated for an hour and a half. It's really cool.
Oh, I've watched the movie probably 100 times. I could still rewind and watch again. But let's get on to you.
You know, some real reason about that. Hudson is Brandy's dad, my late father-in-law. He's since passed, but he wrote "Baby or Baby" on that film. Also, the second song of the movie. So when our son Brooks was growing up, his grandpa had a big George Strait cut. His mom and daddy had a big cut. He just kind of thought everybody in his life had a George Strait cut. So he would come up to grown-ups and he would go, what is your George Strait song? So he has since learned that it's a pretty neat deal. But anyway, sorry.
No.
Okay.
Amazing story. Now let's get down to what you're working on. You have your own career too. Just not that one song.
Well, I've, when I was, I guess, 18 or 19, I started the group, the Wagoneers. That was back in the late 80s. And we were, I was, like I said, a teenager then. And there wasn't, back then, you have to remember, young country was somebody in their 40s. There certainly weren't teenagers doing it. And I wrote all my own songs, always have. And so we got signed, the Wagoneers got signed to A&M Records. And we were just their third country act ever. The first one was Waylon, and the second one was Graham Parsons, and the last one was the Wagoneers. But so, we've always done just straight up honky tonk music, but it was it had a rocking thing to it, and it's as prevalent so many honky tonk groups here, in Texas, and so I made a couple of records with the Wagoneers on A&M Records, and I made some solo records in the '90s, kind of a Buddy Holly flavor thing. Just here lately, what's been turning the critics on, and we've been blessed to do so well with. I had this group called Monte Warden and the Dangerous Few, and it's my wife Brandy and I. We've written what's more like a jazz project, or I would say more like a Rat Pack project. A lot of Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Bobby Darin, that type of music. Yeah, through a Texas filter. To where it's, we put 2 albums out. We just put one out in May, and it got recognized on the first ballot of the Grammy. 7 categories. And every show we've performed the past 4 years is sold out. And we've just been very blessed with the critical acclaim. The thing about that, Hudson, is the Americana chart's been very, very good to the Dangerous Few project, but there's not like a set genre for it, so it's been more critically driven, and the reviews on the record have been just humbling. Just it looked like my grandmother wrote. It's been very, very cool.
No, yeah, I know, Joni, you want to get your questions in too, but I only have one, and I'll be done.
Goldie, you're doing great.
Uh,
Having a ball.
The other day, I told you that I had some Facebook thing come up saying it was you, and it wasn't, but they had your images, and I want to know from your point of view as a person, also as an artist, but as a person, when you're sitting in your house, how does that kind of stuff make you feel when someone's taking your photographs, your images, and trying to do something with it?
Well, what a great question.
In some ways, I think it'd be kind of cool because someone's stealing your artwork. On the other hand, it's like, back in the day when people would steal music. I had a few songs that I did and people stole it. I didn't care if I got paid. I just thought it was cool. They got to listen to my stuff. But at the same token, an image is a little bit different.
Well, it from like something like on social media where at least a couple times a week, there'll be somebody that puts up either a Monte Warden Facebook page or Instagram page or some type of BS like that. And, they're trying to scam people. So it's never somebody's trying to steal my music. People are trying to get people to put in their credit card number on buy a T-shirt or an album or something that doesn't exist, so they can steal their stuff. So you never like when the bad guys are doing that, of course. And then you just it's interesting to me because it's like I'm not famous, it is, but I'm just well known enough to where a bad guy wants to steal my name and likeness and try to get away with something. But I will say I was it's funny you would bring it up in the question the way that you asked. What do I think about that? I remember I was 20 years old, and I was over at A&M Records in Los Angeles, and I was sitting in on this meeting. It was a marketing meeting about the first Wagoneers out, and everybody was at this meeting, and they were using my name, and kind of forgetting the fact that I was just sitting right there, and it was the first time I ever realized where my name was being used, like as a product.
Yeah,
and it was so interesting to me, where I just kind of got the giggles, really. And they said, "Well, what's so funny?" I said, "Well, this is me. I'm just some guy. I'm fixing to go on a plane, go home to Austin later today, and y'all are talking to me like I'm Coca-Cola or something, and I'm not." And it was so interesting to me that if you're gonna have your job be in the public arena, whether 100 million people know who you are or 100 people know who you are, you kind of very quickly you learn it's not you, it's the person in the picture or the recording that somebody's listening to, and not the actual guy that has to go to the grocery store and pick out a watermelon or something.
Right.
well, I just that's so true, and it's sad because it's just today's world we live in. There's just so much scam and so much stuff that you just can hardly believe what people must have too much time on their hands to try to sit around and think up things they can do. But nonetheless, it's what's going on out there, and I feel like you do about being a piece of merchandise that I kind of went through that same thing, and I was kind of a little cowgirl from Oregon when I got signed, and I remember going to the Pancake Pantry and everybody else around the table was just talking about what they were going to do and how they were going to market me, and they didn't ask me any questions. They just talked about what they were going to do.
Right. Scrud, you go, "Oh, okay, well, no, but okay."
I've always kind of compared it to this. It's really simple, but You're in the grocery department. There's 9 different brands of ketchup. It's whichever brand they want to pick.
Right.
But it doesn't matter what's behind the brand. It's just your name on the package. But they treat it just like that package of ketchup on the supermarket aisle. That's what they do.
Well, and the thing is, if you're gonna, if you're gonna get into show business, and you need to be, it's not that I'm willing to be one of those ketchup bottles. Hell, I want to be one of those ketchup bottles. I signed up for this. To this day, and I've been doing this since I was 14, and I'm 57 years old now. And by the grace of God, this is all I've ever done. I'm shocked when some of my contemporaries, bitch and moan about having to tour or travel, or that they be gone from home, or that things go late in the studio, or we have to get up early for flights. It's like, we signed up for this. We said, please let me do this. And I love every aspect of this business. I love performing. I love singing. I love recording. And my favorite thing, or I think I'm best at, or the thing that the Lord has given me the best gift, has been songwriting. And so, I used to lay awake at night dreaming of, gold records and platinum records, and now I've got a house full of them. So, the whole thing, if it goes on for another 25 years, or if it stops today, the whole thing has been an incredible blessing and dream, and just, I fooled them one more day. Say what I love.
What I love about you and your music and your writing is you know who you are. You don't want to be anybody else. You are a true artist that, because too many people out there want to be somebody else. They want to try to be like George Strait, or they want to try to be Garth Brooks or whatever. And, you're not afraid of stepping outside the boundaries and doing like what you're doing now. You're talking about the jazz and, way, way different, but you are who you are, and there's not very many of them out there. And so people are just loving you because you are a true artist doing things different than everybody else.
Well, thank you, Joni. Boy, thank you for recognizing that. I think Miles Davis said that the hardest thing you can be is yourself, and some days that is really true. I'll tell you a really cool story I've never shared with anybody. When I was 12 years old and just starting to dream about this stuff, I was in a conversation with Buddy Hollywood, Maria Elena Holly. And I love Buddy so much, and Buddy's the reason why I ever picked up a guitar. And I was talking to her, and I said, I dream about, I'd like to be just like Buddy. I just want to sound like him and be just like him. And she said, the best tribute you could pay to Buddy is do exactly what he did and be yourself.
Yeah.
And man, that stuck with me. And say, yeah, that way, don't copy anybody. Just go make your own mark. And I will say this, it's when Brainy and I started writing this jazz stuff, our whole attitude was, well, maybe nobody will dig it, but we'll dig it. And like Rick Nelson said, you can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself. And we just went in it with that. And Joni, really, we were, and I'm a huge fan of my writing. This is not an all shucks moment. I love my songwriting, but we were shocked at the way and depth and breadth that people dug the Dangerous Few music. We're like, wow, okay, so we'll do that again. Well, you was to do it.
I think that comes with everything in life, whether it's music, business, you want to be a lawyer, whatever you want to do. Be yourself. When Sam Walton started Walmart, nobody believed in him either, but he had his idea. Right. And so if you believe in yourself, you will make it happen.
Well, and I'll say this, I think that it's something just is so unique to American culture, is interwoven in the American story, unlike any other nation's story in the history of the world, is failure is just part of the story. Whereas in any other culture, failure is the end of that story. Whereas America, you just go, well, and then I failed. And it's like Thomas Edison said, with the light bulb. They said, you failed 3,000 times. He said, I didn't fail at all. I found 3,000 things that didn't work. And that American psyche of that, I'll just go start over, or I'll go do something else, is very unique to America. And you just look throughout our history, whether it's political or entertainment or military, how many of our leaders, so much of their story is having risen from the ashes. Whereas in any other culture, when you're in the ashes, that's the end of your story. Next guy up. And whether it's Mexico with Santa Anna or France with Napoleon, that's the end of their story.
Hey, I live in Mexico. Leave that country out.
But I guess in the guys in the instance of Santa Anna, to his credit, he was president of Mexico 8 different times. But they finally quit on it.
I say the only time you fail is when you stop trying.
Amen.
And that goes back to Jyoti Harv's song, Cowboy Up.
You know, you guys have just done some wonderful advice for the listeners out there, though, because that is so true. You know, that you're the only one that can say, I've had enough and I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to try anymore. And lay there, wallow around until you finally realize that that's not going to do you any good. So you might as well try again. And then next time it might work better for you. And that's really good advice for everybody that's tuning in. And I think you've been really inspiring with what you've shared, Monty. Your story is great for young songwriters, young artists that want to get out there. Is there anything else, as we sadly come close to the end of our interview already, that you would like to pass on as some words of wisdom?
Oh, Joni, thank you. I will say this to the young songwriter out there. You're old and they're wrong.
Or the old. You know, there's many people
old.
didn't get there until they were in their 40s. Just saying.
I would say you are right and they are wrong. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and keep trying.
Amen.
Yeah. If your first time doesn't work, doesn't mean you're. And there's going to be more people that tell you can't do it than there are going to be that say, "Yeah, you go, man." And so, and I say that, Joe. Yeah. That a great piece of advice that Brandy gave me, when she was just starting her publishing company, it's really important for a writer. If nobody's heard it, you do not have any old songs. So don't think your best song is your newest song. Go back. If you have a song you believe in and nobody's heard it, it is not an old song. It's a brand new song to anybody that's hearing it. Like Desperately was, I think 6 or 7 years old when we pitched it to George. So you don't have any old songs. Yeah, that's good advice too.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Hudson, do you want to wrap up with anything? I can't believe it's already been a half an hour. That was blown by. Just enjoyed listening to your stories and listening to you so much, Monty.
Thank you, Julie. And this has been a ball. I so appreciate y'all having me. This has been great.
Well, hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again tomorrow.
I got time. Monty, it was a true pleasure. I know you're busy. I know you have a lot of projects, and maybe you have a down day or not. But I definitely appreciate you taking the time out of whatever you're doing to give us 30 minutes on Stories Around the Table with Hudson and Joni. It's been a true honor.
Thanks so much. Anytime you want to do it again, that sounds wonderful. And I'd stand on a fire ant hill for Burnell. I love her so much. So thank y'all.
She a doll? Isn't she just a doll?
She's the best. Yeah. She's the best.
Yes, I agree. Well, I really enjoyed this, and we will do it again. And I want to wish you and Brandy and everybody around you the happiest of holiday season.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to y'all. God bless you.
All right.
You too.
Thank you again so much.
That concludes our interview with the legendary Monte Warden. Thank you for joining us. Next week, we have another exciting guest lined up, Jade Jack. Jade is a talented singer-songwriter who has shared the stage with her husband, country music star Doug Stone. She'll be sharing stories about her life on the road, her experiences in the music industry, and her love for her family. We'll also delve into her own music career and the challenges and rewards of balancing family life with a demanding career. Don't miss this intimate and inspiring conversation.
This is a Lone Star Legacy Productions